Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the third part of the capital budgeting discussion, and it will be all about cost of capital. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So we all know kung sa ating basic accounting, yung accounting equation na assets is equals to liabilities plus equity. Or simply put it, equity is called the net assets. Okay? Yan sa basic accounting natin. Nalaman natin kung ano si assets, si liabilities, and equity. Okay? So, basically, sa equation na to, nalaman natin yung katotohanan. Sir, what do you mean by katotohanan? Okay? That asset came from two possible resources or resort. Okay? Assets is from two possible reasons. It may be a liability galing sa utang or galing sa equity, meaning sa sariling pagsisikap or contribution ni owner. Okay? So here, madali itong intindihin pag ang business organization ay sole proprietorship. Kasi nga, asset, kunwari is mayroon kang machinery. Machinery, kunwari. And that machinery is pwedeng yung pinangkunan mo is inutang mo kay credit from sino man, creditor or slash friend. Okay? Okay? Pwedeng itong machinery is from your own investment. Okay? And finally, pwedeng galing sa from business operations. Okay? Yan yung tinatawag nating yung mga na-retain natin or yung mga savings natin. Kumbaga, may savings tayo tapos naisip nating bumili ng machinery para mas ma-improve pa yung operations. So, yan. Pwedeng ganito, from business operations. Okay? So, here, na-discuss natin kung ano yung tinatawag na capital budgeting. Capital budgeting is an example of a strategic planning from usually by the top level management. Tapos, pinag-iisipan nila or in-evaluate nila yung business or ang tawag dito, yung project, particularly yung project for the long-term success ng business. Okay? So here, ang mga ito, okay? Ito yung pinakasimple na para maintindihan yung cost of capital, okay? So here, ito ang tinatawag na capital components, okay? Capital components. Itong nandito. Okay? So yung kanina, this is the cost of investment, okay? Machinery, meaning you're evaluating the cost. Magkano ba yung machinery? Okay? So here, this is the cost of capital. Itong nasa side dito. Okay? Sir, bakit po yan tinawag na cost of capital? Okay? So this one is the capital components. Okay? So anytime increase in assets must be financed by increases by these capital components. I repeat, increases here, okay? Increases in assets, for example, machinery, must be financed by increases by these capital components. Okay? So the cost of each component is called component cost or cost of capital. Sir, ang pagkakalam ko, corporation dapat. Hindi naman ganyan yung sa corporation na credit from creditor, your own investment, from business operations. Hindi naman po ganyan. Of course. So here, medyo natin gagawing complex. Okay? So this one, pwedeng etong sa first is yan yung sa sole proprietorship. Pwedeng sabihin natin yan yung sole proprietorship. And this part, etong isusulat ko ngayon, will be the anong tawag dito? For the corporation, okay? So, pwedeng sabihin natin, a credit from creditor or debt, friend. So, yan is cost of debt. Or the capital component particularly will be debt. Okay? How about your own investment? Okay? Your own investment, pwedeng preferred stocks. Okay? And, ano pa? Common equity. Okay? Or common stocks. And finally, yung tinatawag nating from business operations, which is retained earnings. And this one, isa-isahin natin kung ano ang cost nitong mga capital components. Okay? So, I believe this is a review from your finance 2 na subject. Okay? So, ito ang usual na nag-arise na question sa capital budgeting. This one. Okay? Ito ang mga for this case, ganito yung mga sample na may tatanong. Okay? Would a new machine earn a return greater than the cost of capital needed to acquire the machine? Okay? Ano bang ibig sabihin nun? So, with this new machine, okay, yung return ba daw niya, kaya niya bang higitan yung cost of capital? Ano yung cost of capital? Yung pinang-finance natin pangbili nitong machine. Okay? Yung pinang-finance natin para ma-acquire the machine. Okay? So, ito ang typical na question para sa cost of capital. Okay? So, before that, we have to account paano ba natin i-measure or i-account yung mga cost of respective capital, namely debt, preferred stocks, common stocks, retained earnings. Okay? So the first the first cost of capital or cost component is yung tinatawag nating cost of debt. Okay? So here, yung cost of debt natin is the interest rate on the firm's new debt. Kunwari, nangutang siya, nangutang si company para bumili ng machinery, yung interest rate on the firm's new debt, yun ang cost of debt. Okay? But wait, okay? Kailangan nating i-consider yung tax component. What do you mean by tax component? Or yung tax component, meaning alam natin na yung interest is tax deductible, okay? Tax deductible. So overall, the cost of debt is represented by this equation. That one, okay? So ano pong ibig sabihin yan? RD, meaning the interest rate, okay, minus the marginal tax, ano yung tawag dito? Tax or tax deduction. Okay? So next is, ito binibilisan ko kasi alam ko this is a review from your finance 2 subject. Mayroon tayong tinatawag na preferred stocks or the cost of preferred stocks. So kung ang kung ang cost of debt is tax deductible, ang cost of preferred stocks is not tax deductible. Sir, bakit po yun ganun? Because yung preferred stocks, walang tax deduction, okay? Meron tayong tinatawag na may mga issues tayo with respect to preferred stocks such as yung maturity date or yung mga tinatawag na conversion to common stock, okay? Meron din tayong mga convertible or redeemable preferred stock. Pero hindi muna tayo papasok dyan. I believe yan ay i-discuss sa Finance 2 nyo. Dito lang muna tayo sa much more basic, okay, part ng cost of preferred stocks, okay? So the cost of preferred stock is component cost of preferred stock is equal, or RP is equals to the preferred dividend over the current price of the preferred stock. So I repeat, the cost of preferred stock, or represented by this equation, RP, is equals to the D over P. So anong ibig sabihin ng D at si P? Si D, yan ang dividend, okay? Meaning, ano ang dividend na issue, okay? Na declare. And then, P over the current price of preferred stock. Okay? Sobrang dali, napaka-basic. So, eto, kailangan talagang may memorize nyo. And kung napansin nyo, hindi siya tax deductible. Okay? Patandaan. Hindi siya, walang minus T. Ano ba yung T na yan? Yan yung tax. Bakit po sir wala? Kasi hindi tax deductible yung mga preferred stocks. So, for capital budgeting, hindi natin makukonsider yung tax with respect to cost of preferred stocks. Okay? And then we have, later na natin ito ba i-discuss, okay? Itong common stocks. Kasi issuance, ang from business operations, or WASIS later, i-discuss natin. Ang cost of retained earnings, or RS, okay? Cost of retained earnings. Sir, bakit hindi mo po diniscuss si common equity or common stocks? Kasi magkaiba si cost of retained earnings sa cost of common stocks, okay? So, the cost of debt and the preferred stock are based on the returns that investors require on these securities, okay? Similarly, the cost of common equity is based on the rate of return that investors require on the company's common stock. Sir, what do you mean po sa statement na sinabi nyo na based on the returns that investors require on these securities? Sobrang dali. Yung cost of debt, usually nakastate sa utang or sa notes or sa inutang mo, sa loan mo na ganito, 18% yung interest rate, ganito. So that is the returns, okay? Yung preferred stock, usually kahit wala pa itong computation, usually nakalagay din 15% redeemable on ganitong date, or 10% nung mayroon silang 10% preferred dividends na nare-receive. Okay? So usually they are based on the returns that investor required on these securities. Okay? So here, but tatandaan, yung cost of common equity, mayroon siyang dalawang pinanggalingan. Okay? The cost or the equity, common equity, is raised in two ways. First is issuance of, or the retaining some of the company's current earnings, okay, which is retained earnings, this one from business operations, and then by issuing new common stock, which is kung mapapansin nyo, siya yung hinuli ko kasi nga medyo pareho lang naman sila, but meron lang konting difference, konti lang naman. Okay? So ito, cost of retained earnings, meaning the cost na na-retain from the current year's earning. Okay? So ang maraming computation para ma-compute yung cost of retained earnings. I mean, marami yung equation, okay, and model na ginagamit para ma-compute si cost of retained earnings. But for now, since ito, alam kong discuss sa finance subject nyo, gagamitin lang natin is yung pinaka-basic na formula ng cost of retained earnings, excuse me. RS is equals to D1 over PO plus expected growth. Okay? So yung growth, ang napansin ko na common mistake ng mga estudyante is ginagawa nilang or they are making this growth or G as the numerator, part of the numerator. Mali yun, okay? Ang gagawin muna is D representing the dividend, okay? Dividend over the price, okay? Sir, ano pong ibig sabihin ng 1 at saka 0? Yung 0 representing the year, the start of the year, meaning yung beginning price, and D1 representing at the end of the year dividend. Kasi usually nagbabayad tayo ng dividend at the end of the period, right? So here, usually, okay? So pwede yung D1 or is pwedeng gamitin natin dyan is the expected dividend na i-issue or i-declare over the price, the current price, okay? Okay? Ma-divide yan, saka lang tayo kukuha ng saka lang natin idadagdag si growth, okay? So here, ang additional na formula na dapat nyo rin atang matutunan is this one. Okay? PO, this one is galing dito sa kanina. This formula or equation is derived from this formula. Okay? So if you use mathematics and basic algebra or algebra, ma-derive nyo itong formula na to, okay? Meaning the price or the current year price at the beginning is equals to the dividend or expected dividend to be issued over RS, the cost of retained earnings, minus G or growth rate, okay? So usually, napakaraming problem na pwedeng magamitan nyo ito or paulit-ulit lang to actually. Okay? Sir, para saan po ba yan? Okay? And before tayo mag-proceed dyan, discuss na din natin yung tinatawag na cost of external equity. Sir, wala po yan sa libro. Yes, or cost of new common stock, which is represented by the letter RE. Okay? This cost of new common stock is represented by this equation. This one. So if you notice, mayroong flotation cost or letter F. The difference sa return earnings at this one from the cost of new common stock is yung tinatawag na flotation cost. Okay? Sir, ano po ba ang flotation cost? Ang flotation cost is yan yung cost na kailangan necessary to sell new or to issue new common stock. Okay? Kasi nga, ang retained earnings usually is quote-unquote free because they represent the money that is retained. Kumbaga is left over after dividends are paid. Okay? Meaning, libre siya. Libre siya na galing yung common stocks natin galing sa retained earnings. Meaning, libre. Okay? Not unlike yung mga new common stock na mayroong tinatawag na flotation cost. Sa madaling salita, floating cost is yan yung cost na necessary to issue new common stock. Okay? So, ano ang madiderive natin based dito sa difference ni RS at saka si RE? The cost of retained earnings at saka cost of new common stock. So, by the way, baka malito kayo, pag sinabing common stock, pag nakita nyo lang is, or common equity, it refers to RS, or the cost of retained earnings. Okay? Not cost of new common stock. So, back to the question, ano ang madiderive natin based on these two equations? Mapapansin natin na ang denominator ng cost of new common stock is lower than the denominator ng cost of retained earnings. Since mas maliit ito, okay, and if we try to mag-assume ng value, umaga is 1 over 10, and for this one is 1 over 9, okay? So 1 over 10 is 10%. I repeat, 1 over 10 is 10%. 1 over 9 is roughly 11%. Okay? So, ang ibig sabihin, mas malaki yung cost. Okay? Malaki yung cost ng new common stock. Okay? Meaning, sir, ano po bang ibig sabihin yun? Pag mas malaki po ba yung cost, much better? No. Okay? Meaning, mas malaki yung kakailanganin mo to finance that common or yung capital nyo. Okay? To finance nyo, yung capital component nyo is mas mahal. Okay? Mas malaki yung cost of capital, which is ultimately will affect your decision with respect to strategic decisions. Okay? Maapektuhan niya kasi nga sobrang laki. Uy, malaki pala yung return. Okay, kakailanganin nating cost. Okay? Or yung pang-finance para sa equipment na to. Okay? So sabihin natin, balik tayo dito sa pinaka-original natin na discussion. Sabihin natin yung machinery is 100,000. Okay? That 100,000 is saan natin kukunin? Okay? From dito, pwedeng dito sa 50,000, galing naman dito sa preferred stocks, 50,000, 20,000, 20,000, and finally 10,000. Okay? But titingnan mo yung cost netong capital. Okay? Which bring us to the next topic na tinatawag na WACC. Si Weighted Average Capital Cost of Capital. Okay? WACC. Sir, ano po yung WACC na yan? It is the weighted average cost of capital. Okay? Meaning, yan yung kunwari is average netong kailanganin nating capital para mabili ito. Okay? So, usually, ito yung binabudget natin. Okay? Saan ba tayo? May mga alternatives kasi. Kasi pwedeng, kung titingnan, pwedeng mapansin nyo is, ang laki ng gagastusin natin para sa debt. Mag-restructure tayo. Instead na 50,000 dito, pwedeng magtumingin tayo ng mga pwedeng mautangan na 30% lang, tapos mag-focus na lang tayo sa retained earnings kasi maliit yung cost niya. Okay? Maliit yung cost of retained earnings. Okay? So here, pwedeng 30, 20, 20, 70, so 30. So, by that way, nakatipid tayo. Mayroon tayong opportunity cost or savings. May mga savings tayo, okay? Na anong tawag dito? Mayroon tayong cost na na-save. Yun pa lang term. Mayroon tayong cost na na-save, okay? By restructuring the WACC or the weighted average cost of capital. And the WACC is computed, okay, with this equation. This one. Okay? Weighted average cost of capital is the percentage of debt times after ito, alam nyo na yan, plus the percentage of the preferred stock times cost of preferred stock, yung RP, which is this one, plus cost of common equity. Common equity, pag sinabing common equity, ito lang muna. Okay? So, sir, paano po yan? Hindi namin to gagamitin. For the meantime, ito lang muna yung equation natin. Okay? So, basically, yung mga complex, yung mga complicated na mga formula equation. Sa finance nyo yan ma-meet. Okay? But for the meantime, ito lang talaga yung magagamit nyo for capital budgeting. Okay? Cost of, ulitin ko, percentage of common equity multiplied by the cost of common equity, which is WCRS. Okay? Mapapansin nyo, WD, RD, WP, RP, dito, WCRS. Okay? Meaning, talagang yung common equity is constituted by two parts, yung retained earnings at yung new common stocks. So, sir, baka nalilito po kami. Pwede po gagamitin si RS at saka si RE. Si RS, ginagamit siya kasi nga retained earnings, meaning stable na yung company. Yung company operations is stable, meaning meron talaga silang retained earnings. So, hindi na sila nagiging dependent sa pag-i-issue ni new common stock. With respect to RE, is nangyayari yan usually pag bago yung corporation or yung entity. Kinakailangan nilang mag-issue ng mga bagong stocks para ma-finance yung mga yung mga project nila, okay? Such as for this example, itong machinery, okay? So, pag nangyari na stable na sila tapos nag-i-issue pa rin sila, so eto kailangan nating i-adjust yung WACC natin, okay? So, kailangan dito plus common equity, pwedeng dalawa, from the common equity from the RS or the retained earnings at saka yung new common stock. Okay? So, here is a sample problem from the book of Sir Agamata. Magbasa na lang. Asian company discloses the following data: earnings, capital structure, and current market prices of the company's securities are as follows. Okay? So here, mapapansin nyo, mayroon siyang galing sa mortgage bonds, preference share, ordinary share, share premium, retained earnings. Okay? Which is, ito ang kanyang common equity. Okay? Mayroong 96. Ang market price daw is 96. For sure, magagamit natin. 10 pesos, magagamit din natin. And bonds na 102. Okay? So, ano po yung 102? Meaning, 102% yung with respect to the market price. Okay? Yung face value is 102% of that which is the market price. Other information, flotation cost. So, here is the flotation cost. Yung kanina. Ano nga yun yung flotation cost? Refers to the required or necessary cost to issue a new common stock. Dividend per ordinary share, 1.5, definitely magagamit natin. Unexpected growth rate, magagamit din natin. So here, ang gagawin natin is use the formula na ginamit sa na ano yung i-provide natin. So here, so we have to break down. So ano po si weight? Ano po yung mga W na yan? W is representing the weight of the capital component sa overall capital structure. Okay? So for this case, try nating unahin muna yung W, yung mga W, meaning the weight or the percentage of debt percentage of preferred stock, the percentage of common equity. Overall, yung weight ng respective capital component sa kanilang capital structure. Okay? So here, WD is equals to, paano ba makukuha? So here, tingnan natin kung ano ba ang face value. 2 million multiplied by the capital component. Okay? 2 million times 102%, meaning 2 million times 102 or 1.02, pwedeng ganyan, equals 240. Next naman is weight with respect to the preference share. Okay, equals to, paano ba makukuha? 30,000. 30,000 what? Shares. Okay? Sir, paano po nakuha yung shares? Hindi po wala po dyan. So, 3 million, the par value, or the total amount, divided by the par value of each preferred share. Okay? So, meron tayong 30,000 shares multiplied by the market price. Okay? How much is the current market price of the preferred share? 96. Okay? So, I have this, may natandaan lang ako. Okay? Yung kaninang statement ko na the cost of debt, okay, and the cost of preferred stock are based on the returns that investors require on these securities. Okay? So, ang ibig sabihin no, is yung debt, itong utang, and preferred stocks are contractual obligation whose costs are clearly stated on the contracts. Kaya nga madaling sabihin or madaling i-compute yung cost of debt at cost of preferred stock. For example, dito si 10%, another example, 12%. Nakita nyo? So, yan ang yan yung minimin ko kanina, okay? Kaso, yung RS, which is the cost of common equity, okay, or the cost of equity from retained earnings, is, nung tawag dito, mayroong mga different technique or equation para ma-compute. And one of which is ito. Okay? So, back to the topic sa computation. Then, kukunin na naman natin is the weight of common stock, which is 800,000 shares. Sir, paano po pag walang 8 nakalagay na 800,000 na shares? Tapos, nandito pa is no par value. So, mahirap ata kung walang par value tapos wala pa yung shares. So, talagang mahirap yun. Not unless given si par value tapos given din si total amount, pwede nating makompute yung total shares. Here, di rin natin pwedeng i-assume na 10 pesos yung face par value kasi nga market price nga is 10. So, paano kaya kung wala itong 800,000 shares? So, parang imposible yatang masosolve mo kung wala si par value. So, anyway, since hindi naman yun yung problem natin ngayon at hand. So, let's stick to the given data. 800,000 shares multiplied by the current market price, which is 10 pesos, okay, equals to 8 million. So, kukunin na natin yung total capital, okay? Capital component. Cost of capital component. So, here, pwedeng gamitin natin is yung capital structure or total cost ng capital is 8 million plus 280 million plus 2040 is equals to 12 million 920,000 pesos. So yan ang gagamitin natin. I-proportionate lang natin, okay? Or i-percentage lang natin yung weight niya with respect to the uh, rate of return. Okay? Or itong mga cost of RE, itong si RS, si RP, at saka si RD. Okay? So next is compute natin si RS. I mean si sino ba? RD is equals to the rate of percentage or the interest rate times 1 minus the tax. So here 40%, so 10%, 1 minus 40%. Padali equals 0.6 may 0.06 meaning 6% or 6%. Okay. How about RD or RP? So mapapansin niyo may typographical error dito si Sir Agamata. So here, gagamitin natin yung formula natin na RP is equals to DP over price ni preferred. Okay? So here, the price of the preferred or the DP nung dividend is 12%, okay? Multiplied by 100. Okay? Sir, bakit po ganun yun? Or 12% times 3 million. Okay? Pero parang mas madali yata kung 12% times 100 kasi kukunin lang natin is per share, dividend per share, hindi yung total dividends. Okay? Kasi itong formula na to, pwedeng per share or total price. Okay? No preferred share. Yes, preferred stocks. Okay? So, pwedeng mamili kayo. Importante is pareho sila ng unit. Kung sa taas na ginamit nyo is dividend per share, so sa baba din dapat is the price per share. Okay? Kung sa taas naman is ginamit nyo is the total price or the total dividend. Okay? So, sa baba din dapat the total price ng preferred stock. Okay? Huwag kayong malito doon. Okay? So, here, pwedeng dalawa yung pwedeng daanan natin. Pwedeng 12% times 100, meaning 12 pesos dividend over share. I mean, 12 pesos per share. Yun ang dividend. Preferred dividends or dividends from preferred stocks. Okay? So, 12. Pwedeng 12 over. So, here, dito tayo pwedeng magkamali. Okay? Kasi, ang binigay ko lang is P or the price. So, kailangan din pala nating i-consider si flotation cost. Sir, bakit po natin kailangan i-consider? Kasi nga, here, this equation, ultimately, is kulang to, okay? Insufficient. Bakit ko nasabing insufficient? Kasi, ang retained earnings, kaya itong common equity, yung common equity is divided into retained earnings at saka common stock. Okay? Kasi, usually, pag ang common equity, okay, ang dalawa yung pinanggagalingan from retained earnings and issuance of new common stock. Okay? But, yung preferred, okay, yung equity natin, okay, galing lang siya talaga is sa issuance of new preferred stock. Okay? Yan. Ang assumption dyan is ang retained earnings, okay, is ginagamit lang siya for issuance of new common stock, okay? Or for common stock. Yun ang paano ba to? Baka nalito-lito na kayo. The common equity, kasi nga kunwari may na-retain tayo na earnings, usually ginagamit yon para mag-issue ng bagong new common stock. Okay? Meaning, internal sa inyo lang. Okay? Within the company. Ito kasing new common stock is from external. Meaning, from nasa labas. Kukuha kayo ng mga bagong investor. Okay? Etong retained earnings, yung mga current investor, sila-sila lang. Kasi yung mga earnings nila, ni-retain nila. So, since ni-retain nila yung earnings nila, i-convert yung retained earnings nila usually into common stocks. Okay? Not unlike yung preferred stock na talagang galing siya, ay yung preferred stock is galing siya, usually talaga, is ang assumption is galing talaga siya sa issuance of new preferred stock. Yung mga retained earnings, hindi siya nagiging preferred stock. Okay? So, yan ang assumption bakit yung common equity is pwedeng galing sa retained earnings and galing sa issuance of new common stock. Okay? Not unlike yung mga preferred stock, talagang ultimately galing siya sa issuance of preferred stock. Kaya nga sinabing ang preferred stock is a contractual obligation, meaning may mga may mga parties involved. Okay? So here, sir, ano ang connection nun sa kaninang sinabi nating equation? So here, dp over the price. So here, kailangan nating i-consider yung deduction ng flotation cost. Kailangan natin tong i-deduct. Sir, bakit po kailangan? Kasi yung flotation cost is the cost necessary to issue new stocks. For this case, ang in-issue natin is preferred stock. So, kailangan nating i-deduct with respect sa price. Okay? Itong denominator. So, mangyayari dyan is ganito. So, ito, lalagyan lang natin ng minus flotation cost or times 1 minus flotation cost. Okay? So, usually, kailangan maging adaptive kayo. Okay? Kasi usually, pwedeng yung 1 minus flotation cost, ang assumption dito, percentage yan. Okay? So, sir, paano pag hindi percentage? E di diretsohin nyo yung price, minus nyo agad yung flotation cost na nakastate sa problem. Okay? So, here, lapit nyo. Ganyan dapat yung formula. Okay? Ito. Yan dapat yung formula. So, here, 12 over 96 minus 96 times 95%. Saan nanggaling si 95%? 100% minus 5%. Okay? Equals 11.18. Double check na natin. Okay ba kasi? 13.16 meaning 13 or 13.16%. Okay? And finally, RE or RS, which is, paano natin kukunin? Anong assume natin dito? The ordinary share from retained earnings. So, here, kukuha natin siya is dividend, okay, over the price. plus expected growth. Lahat naman ata given. So here, ito, dividend per ordinary share, 1.5 divided by 10. Okay, kasi yun nga yung price, the current price of the ordinary share. Tandaan, sir, paano kung walang mga market price? Pwede bang gamitin yung total price? Yes, okay. Importante, pareho sila ng unit, okay? Kung per share dito sa numerator, dapat per share din sa denominator. Kung total price sa numerator, total price din dapat sa denominator, okay? So here, equals, so here equal muna natin, plus 7% or 0.07 para mas maintindihan nyo. So 22% or 22%. So anong interpretation yan? So yung magkaiba po yung answer niyo sa answer ni Sir Agamata. Para sa akin, yan ang interpretation ko kasi yan ang pagkakaintindi ko sa capital budgeting na based sa nalaman ko or sa mga subjects. Anyway, magkakaiba naman yung interpretation dyan. So here, I assume na itong si Asian company is a company that is already operating. Tapos, ang alam ko talaga kasi is pag sinabing common equity is ang rene-refer dyan is the common cost of retained earnings. Meaning yung pag cost na galing sa retained earnings. Okay? Or yung common equity na nanggaling sa retained earnings, which is represented by this anong tawag dito? Equation. Okay? Kaya ginamit ko talaga is walang flotation cost. Kasi walang sinabing nag-issue siya ng bagong cost. Okay? Sir, meron naman no, itong flotation cost. So, baka yan is for the preferred share. So, yan ang pagkakaintindi ko. Okay? So, anyway, mag-solve kayo ng mag-solve, please, ng problem. Mayroon din kasi kayong mamimit na mga problems na hindi lang with respect to RS or the cost of retained earnings, hindi lang ito yung mamimit nyo na equation. For sure, na-meet nyo na siya sa finance subject nyo. I hope so. Na-meet nyo na siya. But mag-solve kayo ng mag-solve ng problem, may mamimit kayong mga ibang formulas for RS, okay, or cost of retained earnings. Okay? Meron din kayong mamimit na problem na yung G or etong dividend, given is the dividend, but yung dividend last year. Okay? Tapos ang kukunin, hindi kasi pwedeng gamitin yung last year. Okay? Ang gagamitin is the next year or the year end for this year. Okay? Or yung expected mo for this year. Okay? Ulitin ko, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yung last year kasi ang gagamitin is D1, meaning at the end of the year. Yung end of the year for this year. Okay? Sir, ang raming year. Eto, kunwari January, may given na beginning last year na pinamigay na dividend. Huwag yun ang gamitin nyo. Okay? Ang gagamitin mo is forecast. Okay? Ifo-forecast mo kasi nga nagbabudget ka, okay? So ang gagamitin mo is yung expected, yung D1. Meaning D1, meaning yung pareho, kapareho nung yung last year for this year or yung expected mo na i-issue na dividend. Sa case naman ni price, so ang gagamitin mo is yung beginning na price or yung current market price nung anong tawag dito, nung common or retained earnings or nung price ni common stock. Okay? So here kailangan talaga mag-practice kayo dito. I just scratch the surface for you with respect to cost of capital. Ang sa akin lang is talagang point ko talaga sa video discussion na to is eto. Ano bang pinagkaiba ni cost of investment sa cost of capital? Okay, I hope naintindihan nyo na ang talagang pinagkaiba nila is mayroon tayong cost of investment, meaning yung cost ng asset natin, at yung cost of capital, meaning yung cost na pinang-finance natin para mabili itong para makuha natin itong 100,000 worth na machinery. Okay? So, yun lang. Yun lang ang simplified version nitong cost of capital. And I hope by this video, marami kayong natutunan. Sir, paano po? Ano pong ibig sabihin nitong mga 22%, 6%, 13%? So, here, ang ibig sabihin nito, ang pinaka-cheapest source of capital or capital component is yung manggagaling sa ating utang. Okay? Kung mangungutang tayo, mas makakatipid tayo. But, pwede bang sabihin natin na, sir, mangutang na lang tayo, lahat na lang utang? Hindi pwede yon. Kaya nga may WACC. Yung WACC is, yan, ina-average natin. Baka kasi, pag nangutang ka ng sobra, baka masobrahan, kaya hindi mo ma-achieve yung optimal, okay? Yung optimal na cost of capital. Okay? Hindi ibig sabihin na ito yung pinakamaliit is doon na tayo magfo-focus. Okay? Kasi meron naman yung mga limit. Okay? Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na optimal WACC or weighted average cost of capital. So here, mapapansin nyo, 6% pinakamaliit or cheapest, si RS yung pinakamahal. Okay? So, the individual cost of capital does not serve as a meaningful basis in evaluating projects. Yun na nga, yung sabi ko, RD or RS lang. Kasi nga, for the interest of the business organization as a whole, the basis used in evaluating project proposals would be the WACC or weighted average cost of capital. Sa example na to, ang WACC natin, pag-i-compute na lang. So, ito, meaning ito, tapos ito. So, here, ang binigay na, ang total daw niyan is 21.55. Yan daw ang yung 21.55% na yan, which is the WACC, it represents the minimum return on investment that a proposed project should provide to be acceptable. Okay? So, meaning, ang nangyari pala is parang cycle to. Bibili ka ng 100,000, okay? Tapos, itong 100,000 na cost of machinery, saan mo kukunin? Pwedeng iwawasisi mo, i-account mo kung ano ba ang magandang saan manggagaling. Tapos, i-compute natin yung cost of capital. Tapos, pag ma-compute natin yung cost of capital, mayroong tinatawag na minimum return on investment. Yun ang cost of capital, the required rate of return. Ang ibig sabihin, kung 22%, okay, ang ibig sabihin, itong machinery na binili natin, kailangan makaproduce siya ng 22%. Okay? 22% na returns. Okay? Naintindihan? So, yan ang concept ng WACC or bakit itong cost of capital is included sa cost of capital budgeting. Okay? So, for a project to be acceptable, yung minimum return on investment, okay? Magkaiba si return of investment, return on investment, okay? So, napakarami I'm very sure napakarami yung questions and I hope I will all answer that in live discussions. Kasi nga, sir, ano po yung return on investment at return of investment? So, ano pong ibig sabihin ng mga rate na yan? Okay? So, yun na nga, 22% represents or 21.55%, okay? Percent represents the minimum return on investment that a proposed capital or proposed project, for this example, yung machinery, should provide to be acceptable. Otherwise, the equity of shareholders, yung mga investor mo, will be impaired or sila yung malulugi. Pag kunwari bumili ka ng machinery tapos hindi naman pala nila kaya tong i-achieve tong required rate of return. So I hope marami kayong naintindihan and I know marami kayong question, but inshallah sasagutin natin yan sa mga video, sa mga live discussions. So subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Thank you for listening.